I do want to say congrats. This is a big year for you guys. I mean, obviously the 25th anniversary of The Sickness is massive. That's what we're going with. I do want to point out though, you guys have like a knack for putting out albums like on these 5-year marks because you got The Sickness is 25 this year. You got the 20th anniversary for 10,000 Fish. You got the 15th for Asylum, 10th for Immortalized. Like, years.
If we keep doing anniversary tours, we'll just keep doing those every couple of years then, right? I mean, geez, it'll keep us busy.
I mean, yeah, every 5 years, put out a new album and then, celebrate another anniversary. But obviously the main focus, of course, 25 years of The Sickness, it's wild that it's been 25 years. So, looking back at this career for you guys, how have things kind of evolved from there when you look back, when you're starting to, how you are today?
It's still very surreal. I still have to pinch myself every now and then and realize that, like, wow, has this really happened? This has been our lives, for over 25 years now. I'm a pretty emotional guy, and I think back of the journey to get here. And there's so many great stories, and I love it because now that I had to go back through some of my old Disturbed memorabilia to dig out for our management team and for this tour, because we want to put together like a Disturbed museum and all this stuff. It's been so awesome to go back and open up these boxes and stuff that I had locked away and spark those memories back up again, and just think about those times when we were, freshly signed and on the road in an RV, pulling a trailer and selling T-shirts out of the back of it, or doing our own merch, and to see where it's grown and gotten to today. It's very, very surreal to think that we've been able to sustain a career this long and keep doing it and keep being passionate about it and having the fire to write new music and keep putting it out and still have songs that are connecting, that are current and not just living off the back catalog.
Yeah, for sure. And I know, like, thinking about that, like, nostalgia and that emotional feeling that, that comes with it, with this, with this tour celebrating 25th anniversary for The Sickness and playing the album in full. I mean, you guys are going to be here on March 12th at the KFC Yum Center. So, how has it been really going back and visiting those songs and, being like, oh yeah, like, it's been how many years since I've played this one, something like that?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely had to go back and relearn some of them that I haven't played in a while, but I love it because it immediately brings me back into that headspace of back in the 90s when we wrote these songs, and I can remember certain songs. I can remember the exact moment it was happening, and just thinking about it when we were in the rehearsal room and we're just improvising and warming up, and Mike, our drummer, starts just warming up on drums and he starts playing the Down with Sickness beat. It was just more or less just warming up. We just showed up to practice, and I'm like, I just like the tribal feel of it, and I'm like, I keep playing that, so it wasn't even intended to be a song at first. It was just warming up, and I'm like, just keep playing that beat for a second. And I just kind of wrote the simple riff on top of it, and we just kind of whipped together this rough structure of it, and then David famously waka-kakas over it. And this organic, animalistic noise, that was just a instinct came out, and so I remember those moments. We're like, what the hell was that? It was like, caught us off guard, but it was just part of the improvising stage of things. And so I remember those moments with many of the songs off that album, where we were at the time when they were coming out.
Yeah, and that whole feel that comes with being in the studio and working together, like, moving into today's time, obviously brand new song, just came out today with I Will Not Break. It was funny when I first heard it, I was like, this sounds like it could have been something that was like from the vault, from The Sickness. And it had that, like, the feel of like, okay, like this feels so in line with this, but also modern. So, like, is that still kind of that same approach that you're taking, where it's like, okay, like, we're gonna bounce off each other, it's gonna work on feel, and this is how we're moving forward?
I'm glad that you said that, because I've only just started doing interviews, early on now that the tours, just started in that. But yeah, at the time when we were in the studio working on new material, I dug up some old cassette tapes, and from the 90s that we had when the band first got together, and we would stick a little cassette player in the back of the room and just hit record. So no, really crappy quality, but just to remember the ideas when we're improvising. So I have to actually go on eBay or Amazon or whatever and buy a cassette player, because I no longer had one, and listen to those cassettes to see if there was anything to put me back in that headspace of some of those first initial ideas that came out. And so even though I Will Not Break wasn't one of those riffs, it had me in that headspace of just kind of, in that vibe, in that spirit of where we were coming from. And so that song, I Will Not Break, came later at the end of the session, the recording session. I was working on some other stuff. I was recording some other stuff in the studio, and I told the producer, let's get away from that for a minute. I just felt really inspired and wanted to work on something new. And I'm like, just give me some heavy groove with this. And I just started riffing over some beats, and it just, when that riff came out, it was like naturally, like me and Mike, our drummer, and our producer Drew, we just all looked at each other like, yeah, this is the one, this is the riff. And I kind of progressed from there. And then David wasn't there at the moment when I first initially wrote it, so that he heard it after we kind of had a little bit of a structure to it, and it just came to him naturally too. It was just that whole kind of a little bit, even though there's some melodic moments, it was still that animalistic side of David and that quick, rapid fire delivery, like some of the old David too. So very happy with this one. Obviously, that's why we wanted to lead off with this track.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it has that vibe of still like kind of the Sickness era, but also more modern. So, with that, this song is now out. What's going on as far as new album? Is that still in the works? Is there any updates?
We have a bunch of material written. We have enough written and recorded for it. We kind of backburnered it because our main focus is this 25th anniversary and the single I Will Not Break. We figured it would be good to have new music or a new single out there to go along with this 25th anniversary tour. So no real game plan of a release date of anything just yet. We just figured let's focus on this tour, and then we'll talk with management of what our game plan would be when we finish up and wrap this leg of the tour up.
Yeah, I like it. Well, I mean, at least we know that there is something that will be coming. We'll be patient for a little bit. But sticking with the new music and with the new song "I Will Not Break," which we're going to be jamming the hell out of it here on 105.1 for the entire day and weekend, and like just moving forward. I mean, we got the show coming up March 12th. We're going to be playing the hell out of this. Awesome. Obviously, with David having doing the lyrics for everything. Hearing how personal and vulnerable it is, like the background of this song. Like, can you talk a little bit about the messaging and how this is progressing into this next stage of what the band is?
A lot of times, I mean, now that we've probably written over 200 and something songs together, it gets a bit challenging of like, okay, well, what do we want to write about or what do we want to sing about? And, but there's always something going on in life that's going to spark some kind of, interest or whatever. And, sometimes, a lot of times we always have that anthemic song off of each album that's, uplifting or in your face and that. And sometimes it's a lot where we'll collaborate and I'll like suggest a subject or maybe a couple lyrics to along with his scat just to get the ball rolling and just to get him, to spark something, new out of him that maybe we haven't touched on and that too. So it's always a challenge. It's always something that comes last in our writing process is the lyrics. Cause the melodies and the riffs and that, those come pretty quick. David's really good at improvising. I could sit there and play a riff and he could throw me 10, 20 different melodies over it. So he's very great at writing melodies and even those rapid fire deliveries too. So yeah, just lyrically, it's just a lot of, like I said, it just whatever the music feels and sparks in that moment. That's why a lot of times we like to write the lyrics last, is because he's got to feel what the music is doing for him, what is moving him, how it's moving him, and what he wants to say at that moment.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's like I said, there's a lot of that personal vibe that comes out in it, and it's very, raw, authentic, which has always been, very front and center for you guys. And with this tour that's coming up and doing the 2 sets, obviously the Sickness being played in full for, the first set, and then a second set of, all the other hits that you got to roll through after that. What's the mentality going into, like, okay, we're doing essentially, two shows here, and you got to be able to almost transition into a second one like that, and it's a long time to be playing too. So what's going on in your mind when you're thinking about, okay, well, we're going to go on stage and here we go.
Well, I mean, we just did some rehearsals last week as well, a couple of weeks ago, I should say. And then, the playing part, it was great. It was nice to come back to some of those songs that we haven't played in a while, and picking out the second set, for some of the greatest hits. And, it's always tricky because we're always having to leave something off because it is going to be a long night. And, for us too, it's the growth of putting on the show production wise. We want to give something that's going to build throughout the night as well too. So with pyro and lights and just some cool elements within the show, we like to have that visual to go along with it. And a lot of that is very stressful, because I'm such an OCD perfectionist type of person. I feel like I need to be involved in every aspect of it without stepping on any toes. We have great crew guys that have, men and women that work for us that are great at their jobs, and I don't like to stand over their shoulder, but I do like to have a voice in all of that, and I'm very involved because it's important. These are our babies. These songs are everything we pour our heart and soul into. So I probably get more stressed about that because I just want perfection, and so I like that. I like watching it all come to life, when all the pieces of the puzzle are fitting, and when the crew starts getting on autopilot. It's just such important for us. It's not just, it's great for 4 guys to go up and jam songs, but when you have a crew that is as professional as ours, and when everybody is doing their job and the show is coming down to like the wow factor, then I feel like, this is big. I love that part of it. I love big rock shows.
Yeah, and I feel like that, all of those things rolled into one, like that's what gives you that extra little boost of adrenaline where it's like, okay, yeah, it might be a long set, but yeah, I can do this. Like I've been doing it for 25 years.
Right.
So,
exactly.
I'm looking forward to the show again, March 12th, KFC Yum Center here in Louisville. You can still get tickets, all1051.com. It's going to be a blast. I'm looking forward to hearing the new song live for the first time, and seeing what other surprises you guys got in store, because there's always something.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, brother.
Of course, man. I appreciate you taking the time, and again, we're going to be playing the hell out of the new song, and looking forward to seeing you soon.
All right. Take care, man. Thank you.
We'll see you.
Peace.